Hello, my dear audience. Today we're gonna visit the coolest nightclub in Los Angeles. Placed below ground level and made entirely out of concrete, steel and glass, this building feels like a futuristic cave that looks over the skyline of the city. The whole project was the brainchild of its namesake, multi-millionaire James Goldstein, who already owned the neighboring James Goldstein House. With its many sharp edges and triangles, the interior of the nightclub reflects the design of the James Goldstein House. Namely, the nightclub was clearly intended as an extension of the house. The plan was that John Lautner would design the nightclub as well, but he passed away in the early stages of the drawing process. The project was then handed over to Duncan Nicholson, John Lautner's former assistant, but he died during the construction. Finally, the building was completed by Connor and Perry, two architects who had worked as assistants for Nicholson. So the final design has little to do with John Lautner. However, his influence is all over the place, and this is just what makes the building so interesting. It's an imitation of his style. The house has a unique interaction between inside and outside, and with its many strange perspectives, the design breathes the spirit of John Lautner. On the other hand, there are more straight lines than the organic shapes that John Lautner would have used. And if John Lautner would have designed the club, it probably would have felt more subtle. While the nightclub sometimes feels bulky and way over the top. The most controversial part of the story is that another house with John Lautner was torn down to make place for the nightclub. The Concannon residence was a beautiful home, and it's a waste that it doesn't exist anymore. But keep in mind that it was John Lautner himself who gave permission to Goldstein for the demolishing of the house. I personally prefer that the Concannon House would have stayed. But still, the nightclub is a spectacular building with many fascinating details, and it's worth to make a video about it. So, let's take a look inside. Only the tennis court is on the same ground level as the James Goldstein House. The nightclub is underneath and is dug out in the hillside. Besides the dance floor, there's a VIP lounge with a library and an office. The whole complex is only accessible by walking down a stair in front of the tennis court. The walls are made of casted concrete that is unpolished, so the prints of the formwork are visible and they function as decorative patterns. The nightclub has a capacity of around 250 people, and it has one very large cocktail bar to serve all these visitors. The furniture is custom made out of concrete and not removable. The design is minimalistic and futuristic at the same time, and it makes the club look like the interior of a spaceship. Silver leather cushions are placed on the chairs. The tabletops are made of stainless steel. The steel of the dance floor reflects the colors of the landscape outside, blending the panorama with the interior. At the end of the nightclub is a cinema screen. The images projected on the screen can change the atmosphere in a nightclub. When we return towards the entrance, we see the DJ table, which is custom designed in style with the architecture. When we take a seat next to the DJ table, we can see the door of the VIP lounge in the background. This enclosed room is only accessible for the most important members of the club. It also functions as a library for Mr. Goldstein's collection of art books. At the backside of the dance floor is a door towards a balcony. Here you can catch a breath of fresh air during the party. You can also see the corridor of the toilets, which is at the back side of the cinema screen. The corridor has mirrors on both sides, creating interesting reflections. The office has its main entrance at the other side of the building, so if you want to enter, you need to walk over the tennis court. Because the tennis court has only a small glass safety fence, you got the feeling of standing on the edge of the landscape. The green color of the tennis court looks like a grass field and it interacts with the surrounding garden, with jungle-like plants. From a custom-designed couch, you can watch the tennis play. At the end of the tennis court is an outdoor stair. This stair leads to a balcony. There are the glass doors of the office. The windows of the office expand underneath the tennis court. This brings extra sunlight in the office. The office has many similarities with the master bedroom of the James Goldstein house. Both rooms have a ceiling that climbs towards the windows, creating the feeling of opening towards the landscape. The office has also many similarities with an earlier office that John Lautner designed in 1989 for Goldstein. This design was only an interior, located in a rectangular workspace in an office building. The interior was small, but it was full of interesting details. It had a dividing wall between Goldstein and his secretary. To allow sunlight, this wall had a clerestory at the top. A photo of that wall was used for the cover of Lautner's biography by Frank Escher. The contemporary office has a similar wall, but then made of concrete. From a glass back door, you can enter the same balcony as the nightclub. From here is a stair that leads towards the terrace. This stair is constructed free of the building and rests only on the ground. It is connected with glass plates. The terrace is delimited over the entire length by a swimming pool that is slightly triangular. The colors of the sky are reflected in the water of the pool, blending the pool with the landscape in the background and creating the illusion that the terrace has no edge. This pool is clearly inspired by the Arango Mabrisa house by John Lautner. The terrace has an outdoor kitchen, which is cantilevered by the building above. Next to this kitchen is also a sitting area. The story of Club James keeps continuing. At this very moment, the construction project isn't finished yet. James Goldstein has plans to expand his building with a cinema at the right side and a guest house higher on the hill. He has also plans for a second guest house placed lower on the hill. More recently, James Goldstein has donated the house, together with the club, to the Los Angeles City Museum of Art. After he passes away, the nightclub will become a work of art, owned by a museum. This was your tour guidance. I will put a link in the description for my videos about the James Goldstein and the Concannon House. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.